my mind is still reeling. I don't know if you guys are absolutely straight, but I'm still honestly in a way debating on whether or not I'm even, one, gonna film this, or two, like, editing me is even gonna put this up. But we'll just see how it goes, because I still kind of can't believe what just happened. Like, the drama. Okay, listen, if you just need to kind of just like hear a story or hear a simple yet a simple situation turned so complex, like, this one is for you. This one's for you. Loki's gonna be over here chewing on his bone. So that's what that sound is. This is a family affair, okay? So okay. I just had the most dramatic conversation that I've probably have ever had with the company. And so this all started when I decided that today was going to be the day that I was going to film my fall makeover in my bedroom. And a lot of you already kind of know what my process is for when I decorate, because I've shared it so many times. But I'm a very thoughtful, thorough person when it comes to most of my videos, because I have to be that way, because I learned the hard way and not being prepared. And so I have really cracked down the last several years of making sure that I'm ready for all of like my videos on my main channel. So you guys know that I basically keep a whole list. I have on my iPhone, I have a list, and I have it broken down literally by rooms and like office, bathroom, like things like that, where, and then I'll keep a checklist, and then I even insert like photos that kind of help me with my inspiration, blah blah blah, so that when I go out shopping I kind of know what I need to get. I use the same process when I was doing my fall bedroom. The little difference with the fall bedroom was that I knew what like I had to get, but I still wasn't quite sure like how it was going to turn out. So basically I knew that I wanted to have these fall prints in my bedroom. If you guys watch all of my makeovers in my bedroom from the last house, ever since like 2-3 years ago, when I bought these frames, they're 18 by 24, and this is important. I'm gonna say 18 by 24 a lot in this video. Like I said, simple turned complex. And I bought those frames from Target. I have not forgotten that. And I bought a set of 3 of them. They used to be above my bed in a 3. And I bought these like forest prints, and I bought them from Etsy. You're also gonna hear Etsy a lot in this. And I have since thought this is great, because then for every season or holiday or whatever, I can buy new prints and I can put them in here, and it'll be fun for me to like share new ideas with you guys. So the same thing applied this year. I was like, okay, I want some new fresh fall prints for my bedroom. So true to my form, I go to Etsy. The process is not any different. I go to Etsy, I buy my digital download, and then I get my downloads printed. And I've been doing this. This is my 5th time doing this, so it's not a new to me. They're the ones who print in the larger size. I've tried doing this through Shutterfly, but I can't get an 18 by 24 print through Shutterfly, or at least not from like what I have found personally. And their work is actually really great. This really has nothing to do with that per se. It has to do with the conversation I just had. That like blew me away. But anyways, so I have my little list. I'm checking off my list. I ordered the prints. I know they're gonna get in on time because I know that I have my video planned. I get my prints in. The box is actually, here's the box. Here are the prints. And first of all, first of all, I just want to show that this box arrived completely stained, and whatever this stain is, which kind of looks like coffee, it actually got into the box because look at that. It's on the print themselves. So anyhow, but the wrong size came in. So I go to open these. That was like my fault, right? I should have opened these as soon as I got the box in, because I'm filming today, and I go to open and I'm like, these are huge. Why do these not look like 18 by 24, you know? So I'm like, oh, darn, like, can't do the video because I really wanted a fully conceptualized space. I wanted everything to be right. There were some other little areas I wasn't happy with, so I scrapped the video. So then I'm starting to think, I'm like, why did I get this size? I actually brought out my measuring tape and I was sitting there measuring. I was like, oh, 30 something by, I don't even remember. I was just like, okay, this definitely is an 18 by 24. And in my head, I'm like, no, I know I selected 18 by 24 because I had to do it 2 times. As a matter of fact, I had to do this several times. And I actually tried multiple computers because there was something going on the FedEx side where I would go to click upload file and it just wasn't rendering. It wasn't bringing up the screen. Like, I thought it was on my end. So I cleared all my cookies, I cleared all my cache, I tried multiple computers, I tried my laptop, and I was kind of getting the same result. And I thought, okay, maybe FedEx is down, like this little upload button is down, so forget it, you know, I'll just try tomorrow. But I knew that like I needed to do it right away because I had a deadline for myself. So interesting, because I think that definitely comes into play here. So then the next day I try again and it finally works. So I'm like, great. Now this whole time, you know, I've gone into my Etsy account where I've purchased the digital files, and then the seller will give you multiple sizes that you can print these downloads from. And this is important because each size is going to give you like the best resolution for that size. You know, you don't want to take a certain size file and like blow it up and then you're just going to get a very pixelated look. So I knew, and again, this isn't my first rodeo, I knew that I had to go in and select the 18 by 24 from my downloads from my Etsy seller. And so I only downloaded the 18 by 24 print. I know that because when you also save it to your computer, that's what the seller names the prints. So if you've done this, you probably know what I'm talking about. So it literally says 18 by 24. And so I've gone through FedEx. I'm at FedEx. I select, you know, it already says matte paper, already says vertical, and I select from the drop down 18 by 24. And it was interesting too because at the time, the price was like $17. And when I go to checkout, so I add 2, I'm only doing 2 prints of this. So I've gone through the process twice. I've selected 18 by 24, I've attached an 18 by 24 file, and yeah. But when I go to check out, I noticed that my amount seemed really high. It was like almost $70. And for whatever reason in my head, I'm like, okay, you know, maybe the 18 by 24 wasn't $17. Maybe that was like the base price for their smallest size or whatever. And maybe it just ended up being 30. Like, I didn't think anything of it too much at the time, but I was like, okay, fine, whatever, move on. And so here come the prints, and they are a 24 by 36. And so at this point I'm like, did I mess up? Did I select 24 by 36? And I'm going through the whole process in my head and I'm like, no, I know I didn't mess up. I know I selected 18 by 24 because I had done it so many times from the website being down. And I was very studious or whatever about making my selections, attaching my files. I even double checked to make sure I didn't attach the same file twice so that I'm not getting a duplicate print. So I'm getting this print over here and then this print over here, and they're both 18 by 24, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, point is, I decide, you know what, let me go back to my order. let me go back and see if it actually said 24 by 36 and see if I messed up. So I go back to my order in my email, and it basically gives the email address, like the store number of the actual store that did the printing of the item. So I'm like, okay, let me email them. Because at this point, I'm very confident. I know that I have, I know that I've purchased an 18 by 24 and that this was done by mistake. So I sent them an email and I kept it short and brief, gave them my order number and said, hi, I ordered 2 prints in an 18 by 24. That's not what I received, blah, blah, blah. I asked for a refund. So then, this is where it gets interesting. Probably not interesting. Again, this is a very dumb story, but for whoever wants to listen to this, because I honestly, by the end of this, I thought I was in another dimension. I was so confused, and I was just like, is this really happening? This can't be happening. So somebody immediately replies back and they said, the order details say that you paid for 2 24 by 36 prints. Your files that you also sent to us were in that size. So if you want 18 by 24, you need to place an order for that size. That was their response. And then that perked my, I sat up in my chair a little bit. Because the moment they said your files that I sent to them were, I was like, that's not possible. Because when I go into my downloads on my computer, they're 18 by 24. So I'm like, okay. No. So I responded back and I said, I carefully selected 18 by 24 on both prints. I know I did this because I double checked my frame, which I did. I literally went to my frame, turned it around because it says it, and it said 18 by 24. So I did this before I purchased my Etsy prints, so I knew, like, okay, let's make sure, even though I had done this multiple times and bought multiple prints, I still always double check myself. And I said I double checked my frame and I double checked what I selected in the drop down on the website. This was not an error made on my part. And I just said my files were also not sent as a 24 by 36 because the files that I have on my computer show that they are an 18 by 24. And I attached the file again. Y'all. Then they send back, you can't make this up. Please find the attached file with your order details that show you ordered a 24 by 36. So at this point, we're essentially, I'm standing my ground and this person is standing their ground. They are saying, you gave us a 24 by 36 file. You ordered a 24 by 36 times 2. That's what you paid for as well. And that's what you got. So if you want a different size, you basically have to order it because you made the mistake. That's what they're telling me, right? Essentially, like between the lines, they're like, you gave us a file. Y'all already know. I'm not gonna repeat myself. Then they attach, as in FedEx, they attach the actual order. I'm gonna show y'all this because I looked at it and I thought, has this person even looked at it? Have they even looked at what they just sent me? Because what they just sent me literally shows that I ordered an 18 by 24 and it shows that the file I attached was an 18 by 24. And it shows that FedEx printed 24 by 36. It shows what I did. It shows what they did. And that's not even where the story ends. So let me show you guys. Okay, so I'm just gonna cover up the location basically on this, but here is the product summary. Again, this is straight from FedEx themselves. It shows that I ordered an 18 by 24 poster. It shows the price of that poster, which is already wrong because it turns out that $34.50 is for actually a 24 by 36. And then it shows the file 18 by 24.pdf. That's my file because that's the file name that Etsy saves for each of their files. It's the size of their file. So it shows that this is what I did, and that the print properties on what came out of this was this result. So it shows me what I did, them what they did. So then I'm sitting here like, this person doesn't even realize. And at that point I just knew. I was like, okay, like they don't know what's going on here, because I literally just proved my whole entire point right there. And it came from them. So kind of embarrassing, like, honestly. I felt kind of embarrassed for this person, because I'm like, did you look at it? So again, let's revisit. Let's revisit. Your files were also sent to us in that size. Under files, as you just saw, it said 18 by 24. You can see it's a hyperlink because that's the actual like file. When files are like, you know, they have that little hyperlink because it's clickable. So it shows that my file was 18 by 24. And it shows not only that, but it shows that I selected 18 by 24. So I responded back to this. And I said, the order shows I selected 18 by 24, and that the file, and that was the file that was also attached, was an 18 by 24. Why am I arguing this point when the order just said everything I've been saying? I said I submitted an order for an 18 by 24. Whatever converted the order to 24 by 36 was not made on my part. Again, I'm requesting a refund. At this point, I get a phone call. I get a phone call from the store who did the printing. And that's when it got worse. Like, you would think this is like open shut. How could it not be? And why is this whole printing thing even turning into something like this? For the life of me, I don't even know. Y'all, I don't even know. So I'm sitting here dumbfounded because I'm like, there's no more arguing. It's the end of the story. Like, not only do I need to get my 18 by 24, but it looks like I need to get a refund for the difference, right? So I get a phone call, and it was not a good phone call. Basically, immediately, this person, he starts basically going in how, you know, I'm trying to help you, but you ordered a 24 by 36. You know, you can't just like have your cake and eat it too, was how he basically said it. And I'm just like, what? Did you open up the order? It literally shows that I ordered an 18 by 24. And he goes, well, he was like, okay. He was like, tell me who you ordered this through. And I was just like, what do you mean? I said, what do you mean? Who did I order this through? I said, I was on your website. He was like, well, you mentioned Etsy. So Etsy must have sent this order and they must have selected the wrong size. And I was like, no. He goes, you said Etsy, so they must have made the mistake. Because I think he just couldn't, for whatever reason, this guy could not accept the fact that the error was made on their part. And he was the assistant manager too, by the way. And I said, okay, I said, let me start from the beginning. I said, first of all, I clearly outlined everything in the email, and you proved what I clearly outlined by the order. I said, the reason why I brought up Etsy was because I was told that that my file that I attached was a 24 by 36. And to prove that that was incorrect, I said that there was no way that it could have even been a 24 by 36 because of the files that I did get from my Etsy seller. 24 by 36 wasn't an available option. I said, so that's how Etsy came into this. I said, they didn't place this order. I said, Etsy doesn't do that. I said, I just got my print from them. I said, and my print was an 18 by 24. I said, I'm just arguing the fact that you or whoever emailed this said that I uploaded a 24 by 36. I'm denying that claim by telling you that couldn't have been possible because that wasn't the file that I got from my Etsy seller, basically. I said, so Etsy's not in this. Etsy didn't place the order. I placed the order. And he was like, because he's trying to say that, he was trying to indicate that whoever placed the order did it incorrectly, essentially. And I said, so Etsy's out of this. He was like, well, what? Oh, then he asked me this. Again, I'm telling you, all of this was so far beyond like what my brain could actually handle. Then he was like, well, he was like, can you go find out who charged you, what the charge name was under for this order that you placed? And I said, FedEx. What do you mean? Again, like it was like, what? He was like, what did he say? He goes, he was like, well, we don't have, he was trying to say something like they didn't have that product or something. I was like, well, I said, listen, I said, I'll just walk you through the fact that I went to FedEx.com. I navigated him through exactly the steps that I took. I said, by the way, I said, this isn't my first rodeo. I said, I've done this like 5-6 times now. I was like, I've had FedEx print my prints over and over. I said, and I've done it the same way every time. I said, so this wasn't a new process to me. I said, I knew exactly where to go. I knew exactly what to do. And I walk him through where I went. And I said, you know, and at this point, we're not vibing. Like, he was basically trying to say that I was trying to basically like get more prints. And I'm like, why would I do that? I personally didn't understand that in my head. I'm sorry, I just don't understand like why I would do that to myself. I said, when I need a certain size for a certain frame. I said, now if this was something like a book or a shoe, or, you know, like, or not a shoe, but like something where size didn't matter, you know what I'm saying? But like, okay, I don't understand that, but okay. I mean, to me, I just didn't understand it. So, I was just like, I said, you sent me the order. I said, have you looked at it? I said, why don't you go look at the order? I said, what? I said, we need to stop this going around. I said, go look at the order. Go look at it. At this point, we're not, it's not good. That's all I'm gonna say. It wasn't a good conversation. And I said this too. He was just like, well, I'm trying to help you. I said, you're not trying to help me. All you've been doing is telling me that you won't give me a refund or any sort of resolution because you keep saying I ordered a 24 by 36. I said, and I'm telling you I didn't. And not only that, I said, but your order shows that I didn't. I said, so why don't you just look at it? Because clearly no one looked at it. I said, you're talking about these files that I'm attaching that are 24 by 36. I said, but go look at the file. It's right there. Go look at it. I said, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I said, and I'll accept that I'm wrong. I said, but go look at it. So he puts me on hold and he comes back a whole different person. Because he knew. He knew. He saw it. He had that foot in his mouth moment. And I could tell. I could tell because his tone towards me was unlike anything that I'd ever experienced. And I was just like, I said, read it to me. Because at this point, At this point, I want to hear it out of his mouth. After I was like, because I'm leaving out. I'm leaving out for your benefit. Because to me at this point, it has nothing to do with the poster, as ridiculous as this conversation is. I'm gonna feel ridiculous probably editing this video because, you know, like 24 hours later, you're just not that mad anymore. It doesn't even matter, like, forget it. So who knows if I'll put this video up because this is the same day. But it wasn't about the frame, it wasn't about the money. I didn't even honestly like care that, you know, in retrospect, I was paying more than half of what I should have. I just wanted my prints, you know? But again, by this point, and the way that he was talking to me and the fact that there was absolutely no customer service, I was just like, oh my, and I feel like customer service isn't customer service. I feel like people nowadays think customer service means the customer having someone to talk to, but what customer service actually means is that one, the customer's always right. Like, that used to be like a quote, a thing, right? It's not that way anymore. Like this Gen X that's coming up, these like 20-year-olds, like including my daughter, you know, like customers are not number one anymore. It doesn't matter like how upset the customer is. Customer's always right. They're always like that used to be a saying. The customer's always right. And now that's not a thing anymore, apparently. And so I'm sitting here telling this guy, I'm like, the problem that I have with you here is that you're literally talking to me, one, like I'm crazy. And that's honestly what triggered me the most out of all of this, is that he kept telling me what I had done when I'm like, no, I did not do this. Why don't we stop arguing? Why don't you go look at the order that you literally just sent me? You sent it to me. So this came from you. This came from your database. Like, go look at it. Like, I washed my hands of verbally telling you my point of view. Why don't we just go look at the fact, you know? Because again, I'm more than willing to say and make it a wash and go, oh, I made a mistake. I ordered 24 by 36. I did that. I'm more than willing to own up to that, but that's not what happened. This escalated with the way he was speaking to me and talking to me, and then it became more of that issue. Because at this point, it's like, why am I arguing about freaking posters for like $60? Like, why am I arguing this? So he puts me on hold. He's like, okay, I'm gonna go look at this. Let me pull up the information. I'm gonna put you on hold. So he puts me on hold for a while. And when he comes back, y'all, he comes back a whole different person. But with a caveat, you're gonna love this. Even though he had just seen what I just showed you guys, that's what he must have looked at. He must have seen that I selected an 18 by 24, that the file I attached was an 18 by 24. Because where did that data come from? Who selected that? Who made that selection? The customer. But who does the printing? The printing properties that you guys saw, that's data from them. I don't do the printing. If I did the printing, I wouldn't have come to you, right? So it actually shows that they messed up. And it's just like comical because you're just like, you don't see that? Like, what are you looking at? Because I don't know that we're on the same planet here, buddy. But even then, like, he came back whole different tone. A whole different tone. But even then, he still in a way refused to believe that they made the mistake, because he goes, okay, he was like, I said, what does it say? Because at this point I want him to say it. I said, what does it say under products? I said, what does it say under files? And he wouldn't say it. He refused to say it. He was like, oh, that's besides the point. I was like, no, that's the whole point. That's our whole argument. You're telling me that I'm wrong, that I selected a 24 by 36, that I made this error because that X printed what I said. I said, so no, this is the point. He's like, well, he's like, you went to, he goes, okay, he goes, so I'm selecting, literally ignored what I just said. He comes back with a different tone, meaning like he chilled out, because I think he's like, it's hitting him, but he's still, again, refusing to believe it in a way. So then he's going on to the website to follow and do exactly what I did, because he was still trying to find fault. He was still trying to find a way to prove at this point that I had made the mistake, because honestly at this point he knew how badly he was speaking to me, and I think he was so secure in the fact that I was wrong that it validated how he was speaking to me. And by seeing the order the way that it was, he just was like, oh man. So then he goes on, he's like, well, what'd you pay for it? He was like, because it shows you're paying for 24 by 36. I said, well, that's not my fault. I said, that actually sounds like another problem that was made on my part. I said, that doesn't sound like something that's my issue. I said, that sounds like something that's a FedEx issue. And he asked guy, he was like, hey, can you multiply this 17 by 2? And I'm like, okay, 34, but okay. Like, I didn't say anything, let the guy do what he was gonna do. He was like, because he asked me, like, I was like, how much did you pay? And I'm like, in my head I'm thinking, don't you have my order up? Like, doesn't it show that I paid like almost $70? But again, I don't say that. I'm thinking this in my head, so I just say 68 or like $70. I said something like that. And he was like, well, he was like, the 18 by 24 is only $17. Again, this is after he comes back, after he's looked at the order that shows I selected an 18 by 24. And I said, yeah, I said, sounds like another problem, doesn't it? I was like, because at the end of the day, I selected on the user end from your website, I selected 18 by 24. I told you guys I was gonna say that number a lot. I said, and sounds like you must have some type of error with that. With that particular size, for whatever reason, it's sending a 24 by 36 data in terms of pricing and in terms of printing on your end. I said, but at the end of the day, I said, that's not my fault. I selected 18 by 24 because that's what I thought I was getting. And at that point, once he did that, he changed even further. He got so nice. He was like, okay. He was like, but he never once admitted that he was wrong. He never once admitted that I was right. Not that it was about right or wrong, like in that retrospect, but he never once like owned up to any of that, because that was the whole argument. The whole argument was I said X, he said Y, and he refused to, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie, I feel the more I talk about this, the sillier I feel, but again, this story time will be for entertainment purposes only. For anyone who maybe has kind of like gone through something similar, just know you're not the only one. I literally felt like I was on a different planet, because here I am knowing exactly what I've done, knowing exactly what files I have, knowing exactly from their own database that they sent to me. They're telling, that's the funniest part about all this. Lady, you're wrong. Here's proof you're wrong. And then the proof is that I'm right. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like, it literally made me feel like I was losing my mind, because I'm like, I know I'm not reading this wrong. Like, I know I'm not reading this wrong. So basically, he's having a store by me, because this was a store in the same, it's in Florida, but it wasn't close to me, that did like the printing. Like, I don't know, I didn't choose the store. You know, when I make this purchase, whatever's going on the back end, they're selecting like the store that's going to do the printing and the shipping out of this. And clearly, you know, they got some things to work out. They got some things to work out, is all I'm saying. Also, I just want to say absolutely no shade to them. I still will do business with FedEx. I still really like them. I think they're great. I just think this particular person just, I don't know. I don't know if they were having an off day, but like, I'm literally looking at this. Your files that were also sent to us were in that size. Where did you get that data? They had to have just like they must have just looked at like what they printed and believed in that, you know, and it's like, ooh, you know, oof. Cause I'm like, no, that's not what I sent you. And so basically they're gonna have another store reprint, but I have to exchange it for that. And then I think they're gonna give me like the difference, obviously, of the prices, because, you know, I mean, I'll basically get like $40 back. So, you know, and he's just like, oh, and then he starts backpedaling because he knows. And that was the other part that kind of like, after I hung up, kind of irritated me a little bit, because not only did he not really apologize for accusing me and being wrong, like none of that, but then he started backpedaling like what he had just said and how he had spoken to me didn't happen at all. He started going, oh, I wonder like how that happened, and I'm just trying to find the error now. You know what? Do that on your own time, because like that's not my fault. You know, when your customers are selecting something and it's sending different data to like your store, that's on you. That's on your company, right? So but I could tell he had his foot in his mouth for sure, and he really humbled. He really got humbled super fast. You could really kind of like hear it, and I in a way I kind of felt bad for him, you know, but I was just like, but he refused, y'all. He refused to tell me that I ordered an 18 by 24. He refused to tell me that that was the file that I attached. He couldn't do it. I could tell that there was just a lot of like, he was choked up on too much pride after like what he had done. But anyways, so that's my story. Yeah. So anyways, I just feel like when people just really truly believe like that you're wrong, and then they get, you know, you get that humbling moment, it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow, because it's happened to me too. Like, I'm not exempt from that. I've thought I've been like so dead on right about something and then got humbled real quick. It's happened to, I'm sure, the best of us, you know, but I just, them telling me like, that's the file you attach, have you looked at your order? Have you looked at it? So anyways, that's my story. And now, in a way, when I go pick up my new prints, I don't know that I'll ever be able to look at them the same way, you know?